I was reading about this. It was like a normal Friday. I was just reading about like new ways to generate electricity because I've always been interested in alternate electricity for my sister. And I read upon this article on piezoelectricity, and it was so sick to me that we can generate electricity just from motion. So I just had to learn more, and that's how it started.
Hey guys, welcome to the Up Next podcast, where we are interviewing teen entrepreneurs that are making it big time in the startup world. We are asking the questions we know you want to hear. Up Next is an app made for teens where anyone can join or build a real life startup. Okay, today we have Karan Maheshwari, age 13, from Canada. Some of his interests include alternate energy, software computer engineering, as well as mechanical and electrical engineering, AI, and space technologies, which are the usual interests for a 13-year-old. Also, some YouTube videos on coding, which is super professional and very helpful for those looking for some help in the subject. Currently working on Piezoelectricity, which is a project that he started that uses piezoelectricity to run and charge small electronics like mouses and phones and keyboards. So I can't wait to hear a little bit more about that. So the question that is just, burning in my mind, how did this become your interests since age 12?
I was reading about this. It was like a normal Friday. I was just reading about like new ways to generate electricity because I've always been interested in alternate electricity for my sister. And I read upon this article on piezoelectricity, and it was so sick to me that we can generate electricity just from motion. So I just had to learn more, and that's how it started.
Okay, and who would you consider your first mentor, and what did they help you go through?
First mentor, I've had many mentors. My first mentor would definitely be my sister. She's also a teen entrepreneur, and she really showed me like my potential and how I can accomplish it.
Oh, that's great. I'd love to have a talk with her as well. So how much time did it take for you to build the product that we're talking about, unless it's not fully built yet?
Yeah, it's not actually fully built yet, but I would estimate around 2 months, like including the learning phase, because when I started with this topic, I had absolutely no clue what it was. So to build a prototype of my idea, I would estimate around 2 months.
Okay, and was any funding needed for this building, or was it just all from your head?
Definitely some funding, but there's a lot of sources you can get funding from, like GoFundMe. You can also get grants from like Y Combinator or some other accelerating websites for startups.
Which is always very helpful for everyone out there listening. Write that down. So who are you aiming to with this product? Like, who's your audience?
It's definitely like, I'm probably aiming for like a worldwide use of like this technology being implemented in a lot of fields from healthcare to space tech. So it's more of like everyone in the world, because energy, like everyone in the world always needs energy. Energy is like needed as we advance. So since it's a way of generating electricity and energy, it's going to be a worldwide use.
Well, then anyone can pretty much benefit from it. And what advantages do you find as someone that is Gen Z? What advantages does this generation have, and how can they use it to build their own startup?
There's two huge advantages that Gen Z have. One is that they're born in technology. Gen Z is like, they were brought up in technology, and there's a lot of knowledge in that field. And in this world, technology solves a lot of huge problems. So that's the one big pro right there. The second one is that they're young. When you start young in entrepreneurship, it's huge for your future.
That is true. You have a lot less to risk, and you also feel like you can risk a lot more, which is a very good combination. So throughout learning and building, it's like not a kid's topic at all, like what we're talking about. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be entirely honest. I will trust you in pretty much anything that you'll say here. So what is one mistake that you would avoid?
You said not a lot of kids are in like that building mindset, but that's like the hugest problem. When you don't build and you're just sitting and learning, like reading articles, you're just hypothesizing the situation in your head instead of actually building it. When you're building something or like prototyping with an idea, you actually learn 10 times more when you're just reading about it. So that's probably the biggest mistake, which is like being afraid to build.
That is true. I mean, instead of just thinking about it all day and theoretically planning, just do it and fail a bunch of times and do it again, and at some point it will be more successful than you think. So what is an advantage and a disadvantage you have found being such a young entrepreneur?
An advantage is starting young because, like you said, there's a lot less to risk and you have a lot more time. But a disadvantage is that a lot of people don't have like faith in you because you're so young. They're like, oh, it's just a 13-year-old. I can't put my faith and money into him.
That is very true. That's what a lot of young entrepreneurs have told me before. At the end of the day, I feel like this is a disadvantage that is temporary and goes away not because you get older, but because the older people get wiser and realize that they're just, they're not really knowing what they're talking about. They're just saying things that seem legit in their head. And I find each and every young entrepreneur proving them wrong. So I think we are all in the right direction, and sooner rather than later, this disadvantage probably won't be an issue anymore.
100%.
Yeah. So you being so tech savvy, what is a tech tool that you use and can go without? Like a website or an app or something like that?
I think Google, Google has the entire world's information just one click away, and it's definitely an underrated source of knowledge.
Yeah, it's pretty much anything you want, all the how-tos at your fingertips. I agree. Which entrepreneurs inspire you the most these days?
Elon Musk, because he is one of the greatest mindsets I've ever seen. He is so determined to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to do something, he will definitely do it.
Yeah, you totally seem like a fan of his too, because he's like such a builder and loves space and stuff. You guys are like in the same mindset. Which trait of yours do you feel is your weakest and you need to outsource it somehow, maybe from a person or some kind of tech platform?
I'm definitely skilled because I'm not as good as coding as a software engineer, or I'm not as good as building as an architect. But I don't think I really need to outsource that because I can learn those skills during the journey of an entrepreneur. But that's definitely my weakest trait.
Yeah, but something that you're learning slowly but surely, which is great. How important do you feel it is for young entrepreneurs to think about social change when creating a business?
I think it's one of the biggest factors because social change affects everything in the world. So it's definitely one of the biggest things to consider when starting a startup.
Yeah, totally. If not considering it once starting, then once building, it'll just show up at some point. I mean, usually you can't do something without making a social impact, and hopefully a good one at that. Okay, last question. If you could have any superpower in the world, what would you pick? I'm guessing like Magneto, like controlling technology and metal and stuff.
Actually, a better one than that. It's probability manipulation. So you can change the probability of certain things happening. So, the probability of me flying is now 100%. So now I can fly.
So pretty much anything. Oh, that's a really smart answer. I have nothing to top that. I think that's one of the best powers I've heard until now. That's a really smart. You pretty much got them all in the bag. Great. So Karan, it's been great getting to know you and having this talk and, knowing what you do. I think that it's super impressive, and all the kids out there that are looking to build and be part of the tech community, it is never too late, and start building. Don't just read about it. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.